Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. And a little bit later on, I think I've only just gone live. I don't know. The usual start to this show. Anyway, in a few moments, I'm going to introduce you guys to Josh Millican from Crip TV, and we're chatting to him later on. But before I do that, I just wanted to give a shout out to the ladies behind Shortsighted Cinema and to all the filmmakers who were there last weekend. There was no show last weekend because I was away for a whole day, afternoon and evening, watching short films. It was quite extraordinary, and there were about 8 programs, including dark and twisted and comedy and all sorts of things. I have no idea how many short films I actually sat through, but probably about 30 or so. And that was absolutely an amazing experience. So I just want to give a shout out to Shortsighted Cinema, and I'll be telling you more about that at some point in the future, hopefully, because I'm trying to get the ladies to come on and talk about the show. So that's it. But so having finished that shout out, I'd like to introduce you to Josh Millican. Say hi, Josh.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Sorry, the usual thing is if you make me laugh, the camera automatically flicks over to me.
Hey, that's fine, man. Just wanted to prove to everyone right off the bat that I'm a big fan, and I'm very happy to be here. By showing off my my Chatterer mask from Jason King of Carnival Obscura.
Yes, no, I know his work. It's really,
yeah, you're the one who turned me on to him. You know, I think you retweeted a picture of one of his masks, and I was like, I must have one of those. So you hooked me up with Jason, and now I do have one.
It's great. Now this is the interesting controversy as to how many wires he's actually got on the face, whether or not it should be. I think it's correction 4. Whenever
there are 4 exactly.
Yeah. And I remember people saying, "Are there 4 or are there 3?"
Well, it looks like 2 of them kind of like merge into one.
Yeah. And I know whenever I've been drawing the little chatterer that I do with my signature, I only put in 3, which I think it kind of added to the confusion as well. But that's gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous.
And speaking of your little illustration, this is from the first time we met. I don't know if you remember Monsterpalooza in Burbank.
I do remember Monsterpalooza in Burbank. How long?
Yeah, that was great. It was a while ago. It was a while ago, and it was great because it was like the big Hellraiser reunion with, the 4 original Cenobites and Ashley Lawrence, and I think the guy who did the film score was there as well, wasn't he?
Chris turned up.
Right.
Chris Young. Yes, he turned up unexpectedly.
Because that selfie you guys took is still famous, man. That still floats around Facebook all over the place.
I know the one you mean. This is Christopher Young. He really did actually just physically turn up to come and say hello, because I can't remember the order. I think we then went on to do a show with Chris, which was at the Boardwalk, which famous city the Boardwalk is in. My mind is going blank, but basically Chris did a show with us, and it was the first time that we'd done a panel with Christopher Young.
Excellent.
It was just amazing. It really was absolutely quite extraordinary. He's such a lovely man, and he does this amazing thing. He has a house where young composers can live for 6 months. And he gives them and they look after themselves, etc. But he funds this all himself.
Kind of like an incubator.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, it really is an extraordinary guy. That was that. I remember. That was
bringing back the memories.
It's bringing back the memories, because that's when I met Rutger Hauer.
Right.
The whole fanboy thing of going to Rutger Hauer, walking up to his table to get a signed copy of his book, and because I'm a complete fanboy,
absolutely, me too.
Completely unable to speak to him. He was a very nice man.
Hey, that's funny hearing about like a horror icon being a fanboy in his own right too. Because that's how I felt when I went up to you the first time. It's nice to see that you're human.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I remember that. Boy, it's wonderful. It's a very good biography, by the way. It's a really interesting biography, which I no longer have because the dog ate it. So frustrating, but never mind. I'll get another note on the next time I say it. But anyway, before we wander off into the usual thing of complete randomness, which I'm so fond of doing, tell us a bit about yourself, Josh. How did you're a blogger, you're part of Crip TV. So before Crip TV, you're a blogger. So tell me about blogging. How did you get into blogging to begin with?
Well, here in America, you can get a free WordPress site just for signing up, and WordPress is great. I mean, not only is it the platform that most websites and blogs use as their platform, it's just really easy to use and really intuitive. So I just started my own little horror website called Blood and Guts for Grown-Ups, and it was just I tried to differentiate between kind of like a mindless, cookie cutter, same old, and things that were a little more daring and intelligent. So I'd find films I like and kind of try to champion them. And this was when Netflix first came out, and I don't know how different it is between America and the UK, but like 5-6 years ago, there were a lot more movies on Netflix than there are now. So I got to see like all the French horror movies, a lot of the Asian horror movies. There was a lot of great stuff that simply isn't there today. And I decided that, after watching these great movies, it was fun to kind of like recap them and flesh them out. So I started doing that. And from there, I started answering ads to write for other websites. I was taken on at thebloodshed.com. And I can't say enough good stuff about that website. Really helped me build up my portfolio, really helped me develop as a writer. And it was during that time that I got involved with Crip TV, because Crip TV has a publishers network where they connect with, it's a couple dozen sites, and they kind of like give us exclusive content, give us links to contests. And I really liked what I saw them doing. So that was when I decided, I've really got to get involved with these guys, So I started knocking on their door, and, that's how I became their director of community.
Right. Okay. So tell us about Crip TV. How did Crip TV itself come about? Because it's not been around. Sure. How long has it been around now?
Well, it's only been around in its current form online for a little over a year. I think a year ago, April is when it launched online. And before that, it was an app that was created by Jack Davis, I think while he was still a student at Duke University, just as a way to bring short digital content to people's iPhones, smartphones. And as I understand it, I'm not the official crypt historian, but as I understand it, Eli Roth was very impressed with Crip TV, what he saw of it. Jack has relayed to me the story about how when Eli Roth was making short films as a film student, if he wanted 100 people to see it, he'd have to make 100 copies on a VHS tape and mail them out. There really was no platform for this short horror specifically. So Eli Roth became the co-founder of the revamped Crip TV that came online a year ago, April. And, Jack's just been running with it. He's been killing it. And, we have closing in on 3 million followers on Facebook, tens of thousands on Twitter and Instagram as well. It's something that people are all interested in. It's a brand that horror fans and fans of weird cutting edge cinema can really rally behind.
And you've done they've done competitions. I mean, I know that there is 15-second horror challenges, something else,
right.
But you also do, but they also at the same time, and somebody pointed out, I think it's the Snapchat or Twitter would allow 15-second videos, which is
exactly
a way of getting stuff done. So they've got short films coming on. So it started off as an app, and I know, for example, Andy Stewart's short Dysmorphia has been on. How do the films get chosen? Who actually is behind curating the films that go on to the?
Yeah, we have a director of content. Her name's Kate, and I'm really not sure of the exact process. We're new enough where I don't think that there's a strict submission process.
Right.
I'm sure that a lot of it just has to do with keeping their ears to the ground. But one of the things I do with CryptTV is I go to conventions to spread the word and hand out free stickers and do fun stuff like that. And we recently launched an Emerging Artist Award, which is something that we can add to a film festival or a convention. I got the idea when I was in Arkansas a few months ago for the fantastic Cinema and Craft Beer Festival. Great pairing of two different things, by the way, beer and horror movies. It was fantastic. But what CryptTV did in that case is we offered a distribution deal to the winner of the short film competition. And luckily, it was a film that worked very well on our platform, but it got me thinking about how, CryptTV really looks for something specific. And if we were going to go into a film festival and offer a distribution deal to the winner, it would kind of limit who the winner could be, because we're really looking for something that fits our platform really well. And there are a lot of great horror films being made that are technically short films, but are probably too long for CryptTV, or for whatever reason just might not fit with the vibe that we're looking to put out there. So I decided to make the Emerging Artist Award something separate.
Right.
So instead of kind of like tacking on a distribution deal for the festival's winner, we would actually come out and bring a trophy like this.
That looks so cool.
Actually present an emerging filmmaker with this award, and it comes with a distribution deal. So we actually just got back from Houston last weekend. I was there for Comic Palooza, which is the largest pop cultural event in the entire state of Texas. And they had a film festival attached to it that CryptTV sponsored. And I identified an up-and-coming filmmaker, a really young man, only 22 years old, he's actually from Syria, currently studying in the United Arab Emirates. And he created an amazing little POV video called Hallway, which really kind of like puts you in the head of the person experiencing this nightmare, walking through a hallway, confronting all kinds of twisted visions. We'll be really excited to introduce that shortly, but it was a great experience. Exemplifies everything that makes CryptTV great, and that really makes this day and age great, where a filmmaker from Syria can submit a film to these festivals and have it picked up by CryptTV, where I guarantee it's going to be seen by tens of thousands of people, probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions. So the films that you put out, are they basic? I've seen them on Facebook and links to Facebook and so on. Are they? Is the website the best way to find out what films are coming out, or is it Facebook? How are the films normally that you talk about distribution? All our videos are up on Facebook, and we like to announce with some Facebook blasts and some Twitter blasts when we have new things coming. Eventually, I think we'll be releasing enough new material where I would like to maybe let people know in advance, or do some sort of press release, letting people know the new arrivals at CryptTV, kind of the way Netflix lets you know what's new and exciting each month and each week. It's definitely, you want to check out Facebook for the videos. You want to link with us on Twitter for a lot of the daily chatter, no pun intended. And it's all online.
It's all online. Now, you mentioned earlier on that you're director of community. Is that right?
Yeah.
For CryptTV, and part of that is the CryptTV family.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's really one of the things that sets CryptTV aside from other companies, certainly from any other media company that I've been involved with. And that is that we have a community of several hundred enthusiasts, many of whom are filmmakers or involved in the film industry in some way, from everything from sound design to makeup effects. And it's a place where we can all gather and support each other. Networking happens, collaboration happens, and it's just a really great way to connect to like-minded people. You know, CryptTV is based on the weird is good motto. We are the freaks, we are the weirdos. It's kind of a place where anyone who's felt ostracized for liking this genre that's kind of on the fringes can come and you know, feel that they're part of the masses here, feel like they've found their people. And it's just a lot of fun. It's really inspiring. Anyone interested in getting involved in the Crip family should sign up for our newsletter on CryptTV.com, and we've got instructions there on how to take the next step if you'd like to join our Facebook group. And we have monthly G chats, which you know about, where anyone who's available at the time can hop online and talk. There's definitely a social aspect to it. And we also like to reward our Crip family members by getting them into as many conventions, film festivals, special events as we can. You know, obviously they go out there and they promote the Crypt message, pass out some cool stickers and whatnot. But it's also just a reward for being enthusiastic and for being great community members.
Interesting. Okay, so and basically you have a stand at these conventions, and people can just come up and chat and
absolutely. Yeah, we're always a little out of place at these conventions, you know, because we're really not selling anything. We're really just there to tell people about Crip TV and give out some free stickers and some cool swag and stuff like that. But
right.
You know, we're something new, and we're just really looking to put our face out. And it looks like a lot of the hard work is paying off, because from my experience, brand awareness of Crip TV is through the roof. When I first started going out to conventions for them, I think it was last October, there was, you know, really not much general knowledge about Crip TV. But now pretty much everywhere I go, when I say Crip TV, everyone's like, oh yeah. So it's getting out there. We're definitely making a name for ourselves.
Okay. So this is what you're describing Crip TV as a media company, and this is fairly obvious what the sort of thing. Actually, you mentioned earlier on about a very specific thing type of film that you think that sits well with Crip TV. Can you talk a little bit about that sort of what that is?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, you know, weird is good. We have our roots in horror, but it's more than just horror. We like to explore sci-fi, paranormal, true crime, anything kind of bizarre, weird, something that has a little edge to it. And the films certainly that I'm most attracted to, that I'm fond of passing on or pointing out to the director of content at Crip TV in terms of new things that we might be interested in acquiring. We're looking for something that's bold, something that's daring, something that takes risks, you know, something creative, something experimental. The last thing that Crip TV is really trying to do is dictate what is interesting. We want to feature the best of what's out there, and we want to promote innovation and creativity. So it's not like we're here to tell you what's cool. We want to know what's cool by seeing what's out there and giving these really daring, bold filmmakers a platform. And it's really interesting because I see this as a whole movement in the making. You know, there's a lot of press right now, a lot of buzz for the movie Lights Out that's coming out here in America in July. And that's based on a short film that got over 300 million views online. And, you know, it happens more often than you think that a short film becomes a feature film. It happened with Excision. It happened with Oculus. Even Trick or Treat was a little short video holiday card before it became a movie anthology. And I absolutely think that that's going to become more of the rule than the exception. I think that today, short films are going to become proof of concept for feature films. I think that the next emerging trends in not just horror, but in cinema in general, are going to be seen in short film form before they ever make it to feature film status. This is really the inception point of you know, just true innovation. And so it's as a horror fan, as a cinema fan, it's just nothing short of exciting to be part of it and to be on the ground floor of this.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think the very much, as I go around, as I say, I watched probably something like 30 films last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Short, and the thing that Jem and Kate was saying was that their whole belief and the reason why they've set up this thing called Shortsighted Cinema is the fact that they believe that the short film is an art film in itself, in the same way that the short story is an art form in itself. Do you think that's because, and is this to do with technology? Is this purely to do with technology? The fact that making a short film has become so much more accessible?
Yeah, absolutely. At the same time, though, the technology that makes making short films so much easier to do is making feature films almost just as easy. The thing about short films is I think that you can say to an emerging filmmaker, look, before you bite off a humongous project like a feature film, which I've never heard is anything other than chaotic. It's a brilliant time, it's a creative time, but it's such an undertaking. To a new filmmaker, before I would recommend attempting something like that, I would say cut your teeth on a few short films. It really makes you focus on storytelling. It makes you focus on only what's crucial. The same way in a short story. I mean, when you're as a writer, you understand this. When you're trying to convey something, every word is integral. And when you make a short film in the same way, every word, every image, everything has to be integral. And it's definitely, the technology is making it easier. And frankly, it has to do with the attention span of a lot of today's media users. It's not even a millennial versus Gen X versus baby boomer thing. It's people are absorbing more and more media on their smartphones. People are absorbing media. Instead of taking a smoke break at work, they'll hop online and look at a few movies, short films, when they can't take an hour break and watch a feature. So it really fits in today's fast-paced society where you have less and less time to really make an impact. There's a downside to that, obviously, technology and urbanization and things like that, the rush to consume and experience. But it's really turning out some amazing art because it's getting to the crux of what it is to communicate a scary story. So I'm kind of rambling, aren't I?
No, not in the slightest. No. It's very interesting. This is something, probably because I no longer work in an office. I haven't done since about 2012. The idea that you can actually go into the break room and sit there with your mobile phone and your earbud in, eat your sandwich, whatever it is, and actually just watch an episode of something, or watch a couple of short films or something. You can catch up on webisodes, whatever it is. These bite-sized pieces are becoming more and more the way stuff is going.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's like, a great short film really does kind of pack the entire experience of a feature film into that compact time. And, something else that we've discovered is even people who say, like, I would never watch a horror movie. Horror scares me too much. I'm too sensitive. I'll have a panic attack. I don't want to. A lot of these people will actually watch a 5-minute horror movie. There's something less scary about that than being confined and forced to endure a nightmare for 90 minutes. People who think they're sensitive will actually watch a short horror film and really enjoy it, actually, and then watch another and another. And you can really have like a really diverse entertainment experience in a really short amount of time. And it's really opening people's eyes to what's out there.
So what you're saying is that basically short films are a gateway drug to get
absolutely. And on Crip TV it's all free too, so come on, get your free fix, get your Crip fix.
So this is one of the things. I think that one of the, having spoken to quite a few indie filmmakers, and so is the difficulty of monetizing their efforts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the stuff is stolen and downloaded, and so on. Have you found any difficulty? Are you aware of any difficulty with that CryptTV has found with content being pirated from them?
You know, I'm really not sure. You know, that's really not my arena at CryptTV. I'm sure it is an issue, but I mean, right now, considering everything on our platform is free, there really isn't a need for our material to be pirated at this point. But I mean, I know that online piracy is an absolute scourge, and it's really a destructive force in our community, in our indie community. I was reading last year about the fact that I think it was the film Turbo Boy out of New Zealand was one of the most pirated films of the year of 2015. It had been pirated an insane number of times, and the filmmaker decided to scrap his next film project because of it. You know, it wasn't worth the investment to put something out in today's day and age where it can be stolen and disseminated illegally so easily. It's nothing short of a tragedy.
Turbokit. Is this
Turbokit? I think so.
Yeah. That's really, funnily enough, it's on Netflix in the UK at the moment. I spotted it. I love Turbokit, as people.
That was great, wasn't it?
It's just brilliant. It's so. Keep on trying to say to Craig. Funnily enough, Craig, you're talking about people who are squeamish. Craig, my husband, is
right.
Yeah, no, he's not a big fan of horror in the slightest. He and I actually sat down and watched Deathgasm.
Yes. All caps, because lowercase is for pussies.
Yeah. Just because it's just a thoroughly fun thing, and I think Turbokit is another one which is just I keep on, you know, it's Mad Max on BMX bikes.
Right. It really is.
You know, it's just very, very clever and very, very sensitive. You know?
Both of those films are really a great perversion on the standard coming of age story too. You know, I loved both those films. I thought Deathgasm was pretty much the best horror comedy since Return of the Living Dead, which is pretty much the best horror comedy ever made. So,
okay, it's very interesting. Okay, so we have got a question coming in from a gentleman called Billy Anson. Is CryptTV just marketing? I'm still not sure what it's trying to do. So perhaps you can clarify that slightly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're lucky that in this point in our history, we have a lot of options available to us. I mean, at this point, CryptTV is just a platform for you to come over, hang out, have a good time, watch some good films. There's really nothing else going on to it at this point except that. But we are looking to expand, and it could end up being any number of arenas. You know, CryptTV may in the future distribute, you know, physical DVDs. We may get into feature filmmaking. There's really no telling where it could go from here. One of the things I know that we are concentrating on for the summer is we want to attend and feature as many haunted house attractions as we can. So, you know, between starting in August and going all the way through November, we're going to be looking to attend and feature haunted houses. And we're looking to set up a platform with a lot of these organizers where people will be able to buy admission tickets through CryptTV. So that's one of the things we're working on. You know, right now it's kind of like we're going to see where we fit best. And we've got a lot of things, you know, potential projects in the works, and we're just going to see where it goes. I mean, we're lucky that, you know, with famous founders and, you know, with you know, people who are willing to contribute their time and their effort, we can really just concentrate on producing our brand and getting our message out there without trying to monetize at this point. It's great for us, and it's great for our viewers too, because it's a really pure relationship at this point.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, what it feels to me, you mentioned distribution of films, and getting it out effectively. In a way, CryptTV is working as a distributor in the same way that cinema chains
Exactly.
used to, in the old model, if you like. Um, Cinemas used to be part of a distribution house, and that's the way that you got to see films. Things have
Right.
changed now, and so I think the other thing is that, and you find this more and more, is that there is such a plethora of material. There is such a wealth of stuff online. I mentioned this over the years, not just in filmmaking, but in indie publishing as well, is that people are looking for curators. So effectively, CryptTV is a curator of content.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. It's like a filter because there is just so much content out there that it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you can go to YouTube or Google and, do a search and just get an amazing amount of results, but there's no way to quantify that. And when you go to Crip TV, you see very quickly what we're all about. You can click on a couple videos and very quickly get an idea of the kind of content that we champion. And if you like some of it, chances are you're going to like some more of it. And it is a curatorship in a sense. And we really want people to know what we are about. And when you come to Crip TV, what kind of experience you're going to have.
But yeah, and as you say, it's only been really in the last year or so that it's really got online and so on. And
Absolutely.
Does the app still exist?
I don't think so, but we are looking to relaunch that at some point in some form. So it's not an active app at this point, but look for it to come back. I think you'll be seeing it again.
Okay, cool. All right, so I think we've talked an awful lot about Crip TV and so on. So I'd kind of like to expand the conversation. And please, if anyone's got who's watching, you do have any questions, please just either tweet to them with the hashtag #ChatteringNick, and if hashtag #ChatteringNick is one word. And sorry, I've just been interrupted. I've just seen another response coming from Billy, which I'll see in a few moments. What sort of horror movies started you off on this journey? Because you've been blogging, you've been writing about this, and so on. I suppose there's two parts to the question. What started you off, and also what keeps your interest in horror?
Well, I think that I became a diehard horror fan in 1986 because two seminal horror movies came out in 1986. David Cronenberg's The Fly and James Cameron's Aliens. Both of those films were just, both of them terrified me and excited me to no end. And it was at that point that I started searching out this kind of entertainment. And, the 80s were really kind of a golden age. There's nostalgia, but there's also a lot to it in the sense that, these really amazing films were popping up like crazy. Fright Night was one of my favorites. Return of the Living Dead was one of my favorites. Reanimator, Hellraiser. I mean, it was just a great time to be a young teenage horror movie fan. And, what keeps me in it, I think a lot of it has to do with the technology. When I was talking about Netflix, the early days of Netflix, when they had so much more content, one of the other things that Netflix did that really set them apart was their rating system. I could look at not just the descriptions of all these horror movies, I could see what other users thought of them. And, obviously I was very interested in seeing horror movies that other users had given, 4 and 5 stars to. And, in general, those were always excellent. So, just having these platforms, Netflix, and now there's Amazon and Hulu, keeps me very invested in horror movies. As a blogger, I'm constantly keeping my ear to the ground, and I hear about movies, weeks, sometimes months before they're released. So there's a lot of excitement for me to see these as soon as they come out. And it's so easy to be a horror fan these days because there are all these platforms. And I still love going to movies too. I'm still, there on opening night, checking out all the latest horror movies on the big screen.
And is it just it's interesting. You talked about the experience of horror and being trapped in a cinema seat for 90 minutes, being scared. Is that about the shared experience of being screaming and shouting and everyone throwing popcorn up in the air at the same time? Or oh, you seem to have frozen slightly, Josh. Oh, I think Josh may have leant forward onto his earloo. Josh has just frozen slightly. So I just want... Okay, we seem to have lost Josh just very briefly, hopefully just very briefly. He's frozen. It's interesting, whilst we're hopefully waiting to get Josh back again. Hello, Josh. No. Yeah, he's frozen on me, so I'm thinking that his laptop or something has just died on him, or something has just crashed. So hopefully Josh will be coming back to me in a few moments. I'm just going to open up Facebook so that I can see if he can bear with me, folks. Josh, and I'm going to... Sorry, for some reason I can't see messages. That's because I'm not looking at Josh's, I'm looking at my own Facebook page. Bear with me, folks. Just whilst I find out, let's see if I can get hold of Josh. App period. Okay. So hopefully Josh will be able to come back to me in a few moments. Right. Okay. So one of the things, Billy Anson, thank you very much indeed for your long comment. It's interesting. I've heard similar comments made that people feel there seems to be an awful lot of hype about CryptTV at the moment, but it's difficult to find content. The website, it's very much about getting people on board. Can they find stuff? And I do wonder if it's just because this is a young company trying to find its feet, trying to work out what it is in a brave new world of distribution, and what is actually happening is difficult at this stage to say, because they don't know yet what it is they're going to be in the long term. This is a new business model, therefore it's going to be a little bit interesting to begin with. So I would hopefully, it'll be interesting to watch and see what becomes of CryptTV over the next year or so. It's still less than a year old in this format at the moment, so I have hopes to see what happens about it in the future. Okay, so we still lost Josh at the moment. If there is anybody else who would like to come on and talk with me whilst we're waiting for Josh, I'm just trying to get a message back at the moment. Back in a minute. Okay, Josh will be back with us in a few moments. His computer has just decided to die on him slightly, but he will be with us fairly shortly. In the meantime, if there is anyone else who's watching who'd like to come on and talk to me, just let us know in the comments, and we'll get you on board. And I'm just trying to move my windows around. The other thing I think is very interesting about short films at the moment, having watched short films at the moment and the plethora of stuff that is coming on at the moment, is it's hard to do horror well. I've seen some really interesting short films, and somewhere at the Shortsighted Cinema, who are in effect they're doing a similar thing. They're curating content. What they're doing is mostly, but they're actually doing it in a cinema, and rather than doing it online, they're actually hiring venues, they're actually screening short films. It's a place where filmmakers can come and physically meet each other. So if you like, it's a mini festival, it's a mini film festival. And I guess in some ways that's really what CryptTV are trying to do online, if you like. And this is my perspective of what they're doing. I can't speak on what it is they're trying to do, but basically by curating content, by forming a community, it's similar to what happens at a film festival when you've got, I'm thinking particularly of Fright Fest or celluloid screens, celluloid screens, where you've got a chance you can just hang out with filmmakers, other filmmakers, and just chat to them and find out what they're doing, etc., etc. So hopefully that, you know, that's maybe, and it'll be interesting to see, as I say, what's going to be carrying on. Aha, Josh, maybe back.
Hey,
hello, Josh.
Just keeping you all in suspense there. Oh man, my computer fell asleep. How embarrassing.
I've just, you were talking about waffling earlier on. I've just been blathering.
Thank goodness. I was afraid that you were just cursing me. Josh ruined the whole show. He's blacklisted from here on out.
It's like live. You know, it's just live. You know.
Well, I'm gonna make sure to like touch my mouse often from here on out, just to make sure my computer doesn't even think about going to sleep. All right.
Before we were interrupted, we were talking about aliens in the 1980s.
Right.
You're not the only person who said, you know, obviously talking to me and Hellraiser, etc. In fact, I was recently involved in a book of interviews about movies in the 90s. And I know people have done books on horror movies in the 80s because it is there is kind of a golden age in the 1980s, I think, in terms of horror movies. What would you say are the things to look out for now? Is there anything, with all the new technology and all the CGI effects, etc., is there anything else, you know, what's going on do you think is as exciting as it was in the 1980s?
You know, I'm not sure if there is anything right now that's as exciting, but I think one thing to keep our eyes peeled for is going to be the virtual reality experience. I know that right now it's more popular. They're utilizing the technology more for gaming, but I really think that technology, or virtual reality, excuse me, is probably going to be the next big wave in filmmaking. You know, in the 80s, it was these awesome practical effects. And then, you know, towards the beginning of the new millennium, I think there was kind of a real understanding of the way of meshing practical and CGI effects instead of one or the other. And I think that the next big leap will be virtual reality, a more complete immersion into the nightmare.
It's very interesting. There are lots of, there are lots of different ways that this can be done, it seems to me. I remember a Kickstarter from last year, beginning, it was well over a year. At the moment, it was the idea that basically you had your phone and you can wander around your house and it puts the ghosts into the app.
Right, kind of like Ghost Vision.
Yeah, that kind of thing, which is, one way.
Sure, absolutely. You know, there are a lot of ways to add a virtual component. And, you know, we're not too far away from just having an entire horror movie in one of those virtual reality helmets where the experience will depend on where you look at a given moment. You know, it'll give you that just complete 360 experience. And I think when that happens, when the technology for that is really mastered, it's going to be a whole new age of entertainment, not just for horror, but, you know, just about anything cinematic. Should be really exciting.
It should be very exciting. And the interesting thing is I immediately think, it's very strange that you would consume something so cut off from, because we were talking about going to a cinema to see a movie, and there is that definite thing of sharing the experience and being able to discuss it afterwards and so on. Having said that, my immediate thought is books. You consume that story, that is, again, although it's coming, it kind of feels like cinema. Actually, what you're doing is you're kind of replicating in an electronic, in a new media way, the experience of reading a book, where you can put your headset on, you completely block out the rest of the world, you become totally immersed in something. Is this, and a world.
It's very true. I mean, I think part of why we enjoy horror as horror fans is that immersion. And that definitely happens more when you're in a dark theater experience where it's on a huge screen that really takes up your entire field of vision. You know, as horror fans, as creative people, I think we're adept at allowing ourselves to be immersed in that experience to the point where, you know, there's no distance between us and the screen. And I think what virtual reality will do is it'll bring that type of experience to, you know, cinema fans, horror fans who don't have the same passion that we do. It'll kind of like give them the immersion that we all find so exciting. And I think for those of us who already have this ability to immerse, it'll just take it to whole new levels.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I mean, it's because when I was at Celluloid Screams last year, there was a booth that you could go into and sit with the virtual real and the headsets on and so on. And there was this, you know, you could sit there and turn your head and there was somebody sitting there and so on. I did find it really disturbing.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
Craig is very honest. He doesn't like horror movies. I kind of fascinated by horror movies. I'm just a big scaredy cat, you know. I really.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, being scared is fun, isn't it?
It is. Well, it is. I mean, the thing is, I think it's the come down after is a great way of releasing tension.
Absolutely.
There's two questions come in. Joe, you've asking me to give an update on The Night Whispered, which I will do slightly later in the show. One of the filmmakers who was at the Shortsighted Cinema screening with his film Bad Acid last weekend is a gentleman called David Sherdois. Can you ask Josh if Crypt has funding festival platforms? Okay, let me reread this again. If Crypt has funding festival platform plans? I'm not quite sure what the question is here, David. Perhaps he's trying to ask it through Twitter. So it's a little bit broken up, but basically you talked about going to festivals. I think what he's asking is, are you thinking of setting, are there any plans at the moment for actually doing a CryptTV festival or a Crypt, film festival?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, actually, we've got a partnership with Wizard World where we're doing screenings of CryptTV material. We've got a booth at the entire convention where we're giving stickers out and other swag, and we're telling people about CryptTV. But part of each con includes a CryptTV screening, usually Saturday night, where you can see some of our latest and greatest material in a 1-hour block. And we'd like to bring that experience to other conventions and festivals as well. We'd like to be able to travel with our content more easily. And, I think the sky's the limit. I just participated in a horror festival last night called the Love Horror Short Film Festival out of Sacramento. And it was like a 4-hour night of short films and, burlesque acts and comedy and even some live music. And, CryptTV's actually, we're absolutely thrilled to partner with events like that. Whether or not we do the CryptTV Film Fest remains to be seen. It certainly isn't outside the realm of possibility. For now, we're really just excited that we're able to add value to existing conventions and festivals. But who knows what the future holds?
Interesting. Okay. I mentioned Dysmorphia, which is on Andy Stewart's film, which is on at the moment. How familiar with Andy Stewart's work are you?
Not super. I mean, probably more than I realize, but go ahead.
Because there's the three that he's probably most well known for: Dysmorphia, Ink, and Split.
Right.
Have you seen those three?
I've seen Ink. Yeah.
You've seen Ink.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Because the reason I'm asking this is a question has come in from Jonathan Hughes. Which of Andy Stewart's shorts has been your favorite? I've watched all of them. I'm obviously very fond of the one in which I'm in. Because I was lucky enough to film with Andy last year.
I'd have to see them all to really be able to say what my favorite is. You know, and I do see so much material, so much content that it's really hard because my favorite's always changing. So
Yeah, it's always the favorite is most likely to be the last thing that I watch.
right, exactly, because that's what my mind's still it's still
Yeah,
wondering
yeah.
on.
Although I think one of the things I enjoyed about last year was about doing both Fright Fest and I was also able to go to another festival in the UK called Celluloid Screams up in
Mhm.
Sheffield. Was run by one of my previous guests, Rob Nevitt. There are some films that I watched there that are my standout favorites. Goodnight Mommy.
Oh, incredible.
It's absolutely extraordinary. I really just loved the whole tone. I love the twins. I love the way that it was filmed. I love the fact that it was very obviously a lot of it was improvised, where they just
Oh
pointed the
yeah.
kids at the boys, pointed the camera at the boys.
Yeah, and you know, without spoilers, I've got to say too, what really impressed me about that film was that final moment of serenity. There was such a serene peace to the conclusion of that movie that was so disturbing and terrifying on so many levels. Just an incredible film. You're right, an
Yeah,
incredible film.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Turbo Kid and
Hmm.
Deathgasm, which we've already talked about. To answer Johnny's question, though, in terms of the ones that I have seen, no, and it's really difficult to choose between Split, Ink, and they're all just really deeply disturbing and very, very
Exactly.
difficult.
Exactly.
Very difficult to watch. Basically, Andy's well known for people passing out
Hmm.
during his films. And like happened recently when I was introducing Remnant, and one of Andy's latest films, and he not Remnant, but during one of the previous ones, I think it'll be Ink. Funnily enough, somebody just collapsed in the audience. Bless his little
Wow.
cotton socks. It's because I think Andy really knows how to get deep, deep, deep under your skin in some of these things.
Should pass out smelling salts to the audience before you.
This always used to be the way that they used to advertise for the fact that films are really, really popular is the fact that
Right.
people were either vomiting or throwing out.
Right, right. I mean, I've seen barf bags handed out at film festivals before, kind of like going with that theme. But smelling salts would be new. That would be an innovative twist.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm coming to the end of our time. Where else can people? You've mentioned Crip TV, and what's the website, and people can sign up for more news. And obviously, there's stuff happening all the time. So, website, Facebook, Twitter, are all those are the best places to?
Yeah, yeah, and Instagram as well. I think we're going to be getting into Snapchat shortly, and like I said, we'll be relaunching our app. But yeah, we are a virtual online community, which gives us the ability to include everyone everywhere.
Right. Okay, and to answer the question that came in from Joe earlier on about The Night Whispered, which is my show, any regular viewer of this show will know. Night Whispers is something we filmed in November of last year. The answer to your question is there are going to be big announcements later this week. Literally within the next 5 days, there will be big announcements. You'll be seeing me plastering stuff all over the place and so on. I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going on, but in terms of where we're up to in the film, I can tell you. I will give people a proper update. And the only reason I'm so reticent is that there is a hurdle I have to cross. Once I've got that hurdle crossed, then I'm going to be able to talk about it. But it is all coming together, and we're almost at the end of the road, and that's what's going to be happening this week. So yeah, watch this space and watch the Facebook. There will definitely be thing. So we talked about, so that's The Night Whispered, folks. What's next on your plate? What have you got lined up in the next month or so? What are you looking forward to doing, Josh, in terms of which conventions are you going to, etc.?
I know that CryptTV is going to have a big presence at Scare LA in August. Jack Davis is actually going to be leading a panel there, so I'm really excited for that. Besides that, I don't really have anything in the immediate future. I'm looking forward to attending and being a part of Sinister Creature Con in Sacramento in October. And there are a couple other conventions that we're talking to see about our participation. Definitely want to keep your eyes out for Wizard World when it comes to your city. It's already been in Philadelphia and Sacramento, and I think there are 5 more Wizard World events throughout the rest of the year. So when you sign up for our newsletter, or if you just Google Wizard World, you'll be able to find a list of the cities it'll be in for the rest of the year. And just hook up with Crip TV on Twitter to keep up to date on things that come up and places where we're going to be making an appearance.
Okay. And in terms of writing, what blogging and so on, what are you working on at the moment?
Right now, my primary efforts go to Horror Freak News, which is a great website, which I'm really lucky to be a part of. And I also write for Pop Horror, which is a relatively new site, but it's doing great things. Really making a good impression, especially for a site that's only been around for a few months. But I participate also. I contribute to Bloomhouse.com. I've written for Tom Holland's Terror Time. I've written for Dread Central, Horror Fix, The Slaughtered Bird out in the UK, Bloodbath and Beyond in Canada. And I know I'm forgetting some. Did I say Horror Fix already? Scream Sirens in Seattle. I love blogging.
Did you mention Dread Central?
Yeah, I think I did. But, the way I kind of made a name for myself as a blogger was just to write for as many sites as often as I could. And it definitely paid off. Now that I have basically a home at Horror Freak News and the ability to pitch articles to these other great sites. Bloomhouse is one of the sites I just recently started writing for, and I feel really lucky to write for them because not only is their content amazing, a lot of my favorite horror writers and bloggers also contribute at Bloomhouse.com. So that's a great site for horror fans and fans of anything weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I get their newsletter. And of course, Blumhouse is behind the Soska Sisters Elevator.
Right, Elevator.
Yeah, Elevator.
Great show.
I really wish I could tell you how much I enjoyed it, but we still can't get it in the UK. So
yeah, you just have to hear about it from us lucky Americans.
Well, yeah, I'm going to be in the USA next month, as I mentioned to you earlier on. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to perhaps catch up with reruns or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which should be very interesting. Okay, well, listen, we are now at the end of our time. Thank you so much. It's been really interesting learning.
Hey, it's been great being here, man. Thanks for having me. It's really been a highlight of my week here, and I had a blast talking to you. Thanks so much for bearing with me through that momentary technical.
That's quite all right. Well, if you hang around for a couple of minutes, I'll chat to you after the show.
Sounds good.
Because I've just remembered there was something I meant to ask you earlier on, and I've forgotten.
Sure thing.
For those watching, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thanks for the great question, Billy. They're really interesting, and Jonathan and David and Joe really are very much appreciated. We look forward to learning more about Crip TV in the future, and there will be a show next week. I'm not quite sure who or what it will be about because I haven't managed to nail that down yet. But again, I will, as soon as I've got things absolutely nailed down, I will let people know in the usual Facebook, Twitter, etc. But thank you very much indeed for joining me, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this has been Nicholas Vince, chattering with Nicholas Vince, and I've been chattering with Josh Millican from Crypt TV and a whole host of blogs. I will hopefully see you guys next week. In the meantime, take care and have a good night. Good day, good morning, depending on where you are. Cheers, Josh. Bye.
Bye.